choice that you have as voters in the 14th district. So this is a quote from Calvin Coolidge. "The conduct of public affairs is not a game. Responsible office does not go to the crafty. Governments are not founded upon an association for public plunder, but on the cooperation of men and women wherein each is seeking to do their duty." Jim spoke about my experience. I'm not a career politician. I've never been a politician before in my life. 2 days from now, I will celebrate the 7th-year anniversary of going through 13 hours of a surgery to remove cancer from my body. 13 hours. My friend Mervyn back there drove all the way from our hometown in White County, Georgia, to be there with me through that surgery, to help me through that fight. When I celebrate that 7-year anniversary, it marks the occasion that I am a fighter and that I am a survivor. And I've taken that with me in everything that I've done in my career. And the thing that I want to talk to you about is that builds into the why of why I stepped into this arena and into this race. I've told many of you this story. I think Jim's heard it before. But the reason I got into this race was essentially this. When I was at Walter Reed, after that surgery, I spent 2 weeks in the ICU there. And I can remember looking out the window of the Walter Reed Hospital, and I could see still to this day, I can see the snow falling down on the Maryland countryside there. And where I was, I had an incredible wife. She was, no joke, sleeping in a recliner next to me in the ICU room at Walter Reed, because she was the most squared away person. She was not a nurse. She was not medically trained, but she knew more than my doctors. Oh my gosh. And she was there every moment for me. And I had a 2-year-old daughter who was the love of my life and felt like the culmination of everything that I wanted to be as a human being. And I said to God, at that point I realized, you didn't owe me another day. You didn't owe me another day. But if you give me more time in this world, I felt like I've served my country because I was an active duty Air Force officer at that time. And I know you understand what that service feels like and being in uniform. But I was seeing so many problems. This was 2013 again. The Obama economy was ravaging the hometowns where Mervyn and I grew up, and right here in Paulding County. And I wondered where these communities were going to go. I had too many friends who had been swept up in the methamphetamine and opioid crisis. And so I said I'd serve my country. It's time for me to serve my home. And so I left active duty, came back to North Georgia. My wife and I, we bought a house in Walker County. We now live in Dade back in 2008. But we've been longtime residents of the 14th district, and that's one of the clearest choices that you have. So when I talk about that Calvin Coolidge quote, that this isn't a game, the candidates that we should look for are the people who understand the issues that we face in the 14th district and love the people of this district because we're one of them and we're among them. And the first thing that I did when I got back to the 14th district after my active duty service was I served as an assistant district attorney, as a prosecutor, as Jim said. And one of the cases that I worked on, there was an individual, a horrible human being by the name of James Works, who had gotten away with rape in Walker County and Dade County up into Chattanooga for 3 decades. For 3 decades, he had been getting away with this. And I made it my life's mission, my public service mission, to bring justice to about 8 different victims over the course of those 3 decades. I worked years on that case, and every one of those women that I talked to said, you're never going to get him in a courtroom. Never. You are never going to get him in a courtroom. He's going to do something, he's going to slip away. But in the spring of 2018, I was going through a very lengthy selection process to go and work for President Trump and work for his administration. And during that time period, I was so excited about the opportunity to go and work for President Trump. It just so happened that we finally caught James Works and got him into a courtroom. At that point, I had to go out there and find each and every one of these victims who I'd built a relationship with and say, now is our time. I will help you with the courage and bravery to stand and take the stand. And testify against this individual. And it was a long trial. We fought for that conviction, and we ended up getting that conviction of James Works and putting him away for the rest of his life. And thank you. And the thing that I'd never seen before is remarkable. One of the victims, we took them to a room to essentially say thank you for the courage that they showed. And I'd seen tears of joy before. One girl was so overcome with what she went through hearing that guilty verdict come down that she threw up. And I joked with her, I said, I've seen tears of joy, but I've never seen throw up of joy before in my life. But that's what I've dedicated my life to bringing justice to the community that I live in, bringing justice to the people who have been wronged in my communities, in my towns. And I'm carrying that fight, and that's why President Trump selected me for the White House Fellows Program, which is the most highly selective public service program in our nation. It was supposed to be an American Rhodes Scholarship. And so I served in that program from August of 2018 to August of 2019. And I talked to many of you tonight about the work that I did with the Vice President's office and helping them talk about the opioid crisis and finding what they could say about it. And it was an incredible experience being able to work closely with Vice President Pence and his wife Karen Pence. My favorite moment that I haven't told many people about this, and this really goes to what I believe in this administration with Vice President Pence and President Trump. Now, you probably saw all the media in this event, and it was, the world is going to chaos. The administration is in chaos. It's December of 2018, and Vice President Pence brings some of his close staffers in, and he just says this, and I didn't know how to take it at the time or what was happening. And he just said, some news is going to come out. It'll be surprising to all of you, but everything's going to be okay. Everything is going to be okay. And I thought for a second, what in the world is happening? What could be happening that the Vice President would bring his staff together and say that? But the thing was, I believed it, and I bought into it from him. And I thought, it must not be that big of an issue. And then I go out and check my phone, and the news is blowing up that Secretary Jim Mattis has left. And if you had seen with the failing New York Times and all of the media, this administration is over. The one reasonable person in the administration is leaving. The one person who knows about national security matters is leaving. And what did President Trump say? What has General Mattis done for me? I want to get us out of Afghanistan. I want to take my national security policy to the terrorists. And after that moment, the shutdown was pretty near after that, and I went to go work for the Department of Defense and Special Operations Oversight. And when I got there, I was shocked to see how difficult it was for the president just to get his policies enacted. And so when I talk about fighting and being a survivor, that's the inspiration that I took from President Trump, is because he has a vision of what he wants to see from a national security perspective, and he has to fight Washington, D.C. establishment to get that done. And I was a part of his staff last year, making sure those national security policy matters got done when the president said, this is what I want to get done. I was willing to fight that interagency process and make sure that those national security wins would happen. Is there any president that we've had in the past where Soleimani would be dead right now? It's only President Trump's courage that made that happen. So that is my background. That is my experience that I'm bringing to this race. When we talk about public affairs not being a game, we have to have people who have serious experience that can bring to bear on the policy issues that you are all concerned about, to further those conservative policies that we know that we want to see, whether it's the Second Amendment to protect it, to protect the right to bear arms, to make the argument that that's a natural right, it's not a right given to us by government, to protect life at all of its stages. To win those fights, you have to have someone with experience that knows how to fight those fights. The last thing that I want to say, and it's Emily, right? And Emily. The thing that I'm most concerned about, Emily told me when we were just talking earlier, she wants to grow up to be an animator, is that right? So we're going to be seeing her famous movies someday working for incredible animation studios, and she's going to win an Oscar someday. But I do get concerned over the next 10, 15, 20 years where a child Emily's age is, if they're going to be able to stay in a community like Hiram, or stay in a community like Dallas, or stay in a community close to me like Rossville or Trenton. Those are 21st century jobs that Emily is talking about, using computers to create and do incredible things with. I'm afraid the 21st century economy will pull a child like Emily out from this community that we love and force her to live in an Atlanta or a Birmingham or in LA where she can be an animator. But I believe with the 21st century economy and the frontier that President Trump has put us on, that those 21st century economy jobs, Emily can do exactly her dream in a small town community like Dallas or like Chatsworth. But we have to send the right leaders with the right experience who don't think that politics is a game where we can become famous. Politics and political affairs and public office is to achieve the goals of the community that you're a part of. So, as a resident of the 14th, I hope over time on May 19th that I can get your support and get your vote. Because I am ready on day one to win every fight that this nation faces. And the number one fight that we have to ensure is that President Trump is reelected, and over the course of his last 4 years in his second term, that he can get all of those policy objectives and goals accomplished. I've done it before, and I will do it again. And I will help these communities, like in Paulding County, win the greatness frontier that President Trump has put us on. So I look forward to your questions, look forward to talking to you more tonight, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.